Welcome to the Family Fork Podcast, a show about prioritizing anti-inflammatory nutrition so that you can lose weight, have more energy, and still feed your family meals that they will love. I'm Ashley Malik, and my mission is to give you simple solutions for nutrition so that you can finally reach the health and wellness goals that you have been after. Let's get started. Gut health is a phrase that gets thrown around a lot these days. You actually see products like soda and chips and prepackaged snacks claiming that they're good for your gut health. But what does it actually mean to have good gut health? How do you know if your gut is unhealthy? And does perimenopause have any impact on your gut health? In today's episode, we are going to dig into all of that and more. Plus, I'm going to share some slightly embarrassing or maybe vulnerable personal stories with you about my own gut health journey and how I'm managing things in perimenopause. All right, in order for us to have a conversation about gut health, we have to tackle a few terms and concepts first. Your gut microbiome is a collection of microbes that live in your gut, which is essentially your entire digestive tract. This includes trillions of viruses, bacteria, and tons of other microscopic bugs. For the most part, we have a pretty good relationship with these little guys. We give them food and shelter, and in turn, they keep us really healthy and happy. Problems start to creep up, though, when your gut microbiome gets out of balance. And this can really happen for so many different reasons: illness, food poisoning, environmental factors. It can also get out of balance with the food that we eat. Our microbiome likes whole, healthy, unprocessed food. It does not like packaged food with preservatives, sugar, alcohol, and unhealthy fats. So when the overall balance is off, you might start experiencing a host of different symptoms. And those symptoms can really be different for different people. Everything from skin rashes, gas, bloating, hair loss, all the way to weight loss resistance and mental health issues like anxiety and depression. For the most part, your gut microbiome does a pretty good job of taking care of itself. But these days, with chronic stress, poor sleep, and unhealthy diets, we are making it harder for our gut microbiome to do its job. Lots of research has been done on gut health in the past 10 years, and it's really fascinating to see what new discoveries are made every day. We know more about how to keep our gut health in check. We also know more about how food and illness impacts gut health. So as we learn more, it's up to you and me to do what we can to support optimal gut health. Now, I mentioned that illness plays a part in gut health. While perimenopause isn't considered an illness, it does have a profound effect on our gut health. In simple terms, as we go through perimenopause, we experience a decrease in both estrogen and progesterone. This decrease can lead to a slower transit time in our digestive tract. It can also cause issues with our gallbladder, which really aids in digestion. Imagine your digestive tract like your kitchen sink and garbage disposal. If it all gets too full, and you don't turn on the garbage disposal to clear it out, everything gets backed up. And if everything is backed up, your sink and drain won't work properly until it gets cleared out. So in your body, when the digestive tract isn't running efficiently, waste is just hanging out in there, and your gut microbiome does not like that. As a result, you start experiencing inflammation while your body tries to fight against the waste that doesn't belong there. And ultimately, this is what poor gut health looks like. As a side note, having thyroid issues like hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's also slows transit time. So if you're anything like me, I'm dealing with hypothyroidism, and perimenopause, you can imagine that things are probably moving pretty slowly. Now, I want to clarify that slow transit time doesn't mean that you're automatically going to experience constipation, although that can definitely be something that you struggle with in perimenopause. But with that, let's look at some of the symptoms that might crop up when you do have poor gut health. The symptom list is really, really long. And like I said, it can be different for everyone. But there are a few symptoms that are more common across most people. Gas, bloating, especially within about 1 hour after eating, constipation, diarrhea, weird skin rashes or dry skin, white patches on your tongue, hair loss, sore joints, trouble sleeping, inability to lose weight. Truly, the list could go on and on. Interestingly, doctors and researchers are also discovering that poor gut health can show itself as mental health issues like anxiety and depression. I'll talk more about this in a minute, but this has definitely been true for me. It's so important to note that these symptoms could be due to many other conditions. I know that. But if you can start looking for some patterns in your symptoms, it might point to the fact that you need to improve your gut health. And of course, checking with your doctor or functional practitioner is always a good idea. I believe that it's super, super important to test and not guess at your symptoms. And a practitioner can really help you with all of that. But I'm sharing all of this information here because for the longest time, I didn't really know that my symptoms were related to one another and related to my poor gut health. So I'm hopeful that this level of detail helps shed some light on frustrating symptoms that you're experiencing. I want to share what poor gut health has looked like for me in the past 10 years. Because if I had known some of these things early on in my journey, I probably could have handled them differently and not suffered as much, which is really my goal for you. For many, many years, I have struggled off and on with two particular conditions that are related to poor gut health: Candida overgrowth and SIBO. Candida overgrowth is an overgrowth of a yeast that's always in your large intestine, but it becomes a problem when it's unbalanced. SIBO is an overgrowth of bacteria in the small intestine. Now, remember how we talked about the gut bugs that keep us healthy and happy? Well, lucky me, my gut bugs really struggle to stay balanced in both my large and my small intestine. And for years, I have been challenged with this consistent pattern of symptoms: weird skin rashes, sore joints, trouble sleeping, inability to lose weight, chronic yeast infections, and depression and anxiety. I thought that most of these issues came on a few years before my hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's diagnosis. But when I look back to my childhood, I remember being the kid with stomach issues. I always had an upset or nervous stomach. I always had to find a bathroom, and I often had trouble sleeping. Most recently, like in the past few months, I've really been struggling with bloating, depression, and weight loss resistance, which I know now are signals that my gut health needs some help. And remember, I am right in the middle of perimenopause, and I still struggle with hypothyroidism. These symptoms, they don't come on suddenly, but they kind of start slowly. So I'm recording this episode in October, and when I look back at the summer months, I actually see a number of red flags that could have caused this recent flare-up. High stress, not as much physical movement or different physical movement, definitely eating more sugar and carbs, which increases that imbalance of the gut bugs. I definitely had some alcohol and my sleep was not great at all. So once I've sort of figured out what was going on in my gut microbiome, I was able to adjust my nutrition. I did add a couple of supplements that I know will help. And within about a week, I was starting to feel so much better. Gut health is super important for everyone, but it becomes even more important when you are in perimenopause or menopause. Your whole system is slowing down, but this doesn't have to cause issues. And as my friend Holly says, now that we know better, we can do better. So what can you do? Well, along with the regular advice of sleep more, move more, stress less, there are some other things that I know to be really helpful in improving your overall gut health. First of all, do not ignore or cover up digestive issues with laxatives, antacids, or supplements. I want you to go get tested and start asking some questions. Oftentimes, if you have poor gut health, if you ignore those symptoms or cover them up with things like Tums and laxatives, actually the gut health gets even worse. So it's really important to start asking some questions and to get tested. Now, functional practitioners and naturopaths are going to be much more helpful here compared to your regular conventional doctor, unless you have a conventional doctor that is pretty cutting edge with root cause medicine. Another thing you can do is walk after your meals. Walking can really help your digestion move more quickly so that your GI tract doesn't get all backed up. And I will give you bonus points for walking without your phone, because that means you get to stress less, enjoy the scenery around you, and that's going to help your digestion overall. Also, resist the urge to fill up on pre and probiotic foods. I know you hear it everywhere. Social media honestly would have you believe that you need tons of pre and probiotics every single day. That may or may not be true, but if you're having gut issues, a lot of pre and probiotic products can actually create more problems, at least until you get things back in balance. So it's really important for you to get clear on what is happening with your gut before you start popping probiotics and drinking Olipop soda. And as always, I want you to clean up what you eat. Hands down, an anti-inflammatory diet is the best choice for women in perimenopause. And I promise you, it is easier than you think. It'll make you feel good, and you'll probably start to wonder why you didn't start it sooner. If you need help getting started in your kitchen with a really, really easy way, I want you to pick up the free anti-inflammatory meal plan that's in the show notes. It's going to help you with a lot of these issues. It's really going to help clean up your gut health, and your family will love the meals too. Now, speaking of family, the goal of this podcast is to help you discover how the nutrition changes that you're making for yourself can also benefit your family. Personally, I monitor my family's gut health all the time. I'll check their tongues for white patches, ask them about their bathroom habits, and inquire about gas and bloating. I know. It sounds weird, but what you've just learned about gut health in this episode doesn't just apply to you in perimenopause. Your entire family can benefit from anti-inflammatory nutrition and just more awareness in general over our gut health. I know we can't always monitor what our spouses and partners and kids are eating, but when we make meals at home, we can make choices that are going to improve everyone's gut health, which gives us a healthier and happier household overall. I hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into gut health and how it's impacted by perimenopause. I would love to know what your biggest takeaway was. So send me an email or drop me a message on Instagram and let me know what you learned. Perimenopause can be a challenging time in life, but there are things that we can do to make it a little bit easier. And since you have to eat anyway, Starting with anti-inflammatory nutrition to improve your gut health is always the best and easiest place to begin. So go grab that anti-inflammatory meal plan in the show notes, and I will see you next week. Thank you for listening today. I am so grateful to spend this time with you. Be sure to connect with me at ashleymalek.com, where you can explore free resources, meal plans, and more. And if you found today's episode valuable, please share it on your socials so that we can help more midlife women reach their health and wellness goals. See you next time.